in the movie, right? They said we all knew Stumacher was coming back, right? Because Matthew Lillard's voice was in the trailers. I decided to stay away from any trailers like on word from that. And I was like, I can't wait to see Scream 7. I'm going to see it as soon as it comes out because maybe they're finally going to do the Scream franchise correctly. Maybe they're going to end it and I'm going to love it and then I'm going to like be like, "Hooray, we can finally end the series and leave it alone. Leave the series alone. Bury it. Like it doesn't need to exist anymore." And I just I don't know what to do because my mind is like not processing correctly because why? Why are they doing this to us personally? Yeah, I don't know how to process Scream 7 because the way it had ended didn't even make sense. Why do what they did? Because it was the way it started off was like, okay, like we're building up. Like it felt like a build up to Stu Macher. Like we're waiting for him to come back. And maybe in the trailers they made it obvious that he was gonna be AI, but because I didn't watch the trailers, I didn't know. And I would be disappointed if they did put in trailers because movies, the media, whatever, the marketing team always puts the entire movie in the trailers. So I do not watch trailers anymore. I want to go in blind. I see the first trailer while I'm watching a movie in theaters. I keep that bullet point in my mind, like I'm gonna watch this. So when I saw that Scream 7 was coming and Stu Macher, Matthew Lillard, our Scream King was coming back, I was like, I'm sad. And now I want to get up. I wanted to get up. I wanted to be finished with the movie. But of course, I just had to see it through just to finish it, and I regret it. I regret sitting and finishing it because the way it had started was like this. There was two couples. There was one couple, and they were going into Stu Macher's old house for this whole like, oh, look at this like Scream experience or the Stab movies because that's like a franchise within the franchise, super meta. Anyways, so they did the movie within the movie franchise experience thing. And of course, the couple gets killed in the house, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Meaning, oh, wow, of course, Scream Killer's back. But in my mind, I'm like, Stu Macher is back. I'm so excited. So we meet like Sydney and her daughter, her husband, and we see how they're doing, how her life's doing. She named her daughter Tatum after her best friend from all those years ago, 30 years ago. And Tatum has a boyfriend who's like sneaks into the window, basically just like Billy Loomis did. And of course, Sydney doesn't like that, brings back bad memories. And then she kicks him out. The daughter is like, okay, but mom, like, why do you not trust him? Like, you need to trust somebody. And Sydney just is having a hard time with that. She can't just trust anybody, obviously, because there's literally six movies prior of all of her friends and family getting unalived. So, of course, she doesn't want to talk about it, especially not with the kid, where she doesn't want to traumatize her own kid. But at the same time, she knows it might happen again. So it's like she wants to prepare her in some ways, but like not everything because it's graphic, it's traumatic. So after that they have a little fight, not a big thing or whatever, and the next morning she talks about, or actually that same day, same night, they talk about how she has the daughter Tatum has a play going on, and then Sydney talks about how she was in the play and the daughter gets excited and then wants to know more, and then Sydney shuts it down, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it though, girl, but Tatum doesn't get it, she's not interested. And the next morning, she goes with her little friends and her boyfriend to school. And then we get to a scene where they're just in the drama theater performing. And then she has this little mess up where she like trips down the stairs and everybody fumbles on stage, but all her friends are like, oh, it's okay, it's okay. And she's just kind of disappointed in herself. But then the theater teacher, he has some audacity. He's all like, oh, you're not like your mom. Like, girl, get it together. Like, you need to be more spunky. You need to have more emotion. Why? She's in a whole dog costume. Nobody can see her face. Relax. So she gets kind of like, oh, and he's like, yeah, you're too timid. You're not like your mom. She was, yeah, you're like, mm. So she was like, oh, I see. And she goes, like, runs off to the back. Well, she didn't run, but she like leaves off stage to take off her costume, and her boyfriend goes and helps her. And she's like, am I too timid? And then he's like, oh, you're maybe you're a little bit shy or whatever. And she was like, well, shy means timid. And they just have this little moment. But while they're having the little moment, Sydney is at work at her coffee shop. And that's when we meet some other characters. One of the ladies is this blonde lady. I don't even remember her, but she was in like another of the Scream movies, and then she's there with her son, who was there like originally first before he went to school. He went to get coffee because he was also supposed to be at the performance. I kind of went too like far forward because he was there at the school by the time they were all like, oh, she tripped and blah blah blah. But anyways, so the coffee scene is kind of like before and then the middle and then the after. But anyways, that's where we meet two characters, a mom and her son. And the mom, she had an abusive husband, and the son is super obsessed with podcast and Sydney Prescott and the whole Stab franchise. He's like one of those whole podcast like junkies who love to listen to true crime. And while we go back to the school, that whole situation happened, whatever. And then we go back to Sydney, where she's just in her office and she gets a call from the same voice, because she always gets a call like, oh, haha, Sydney, like, I'm going to kill you. And she's like, yeah, that's nice. Anyways, who is this? And on her computer pops up a little box, like a FaceTime, and it's Stumacher himself. And of course, she's like, huh? And he's like, yes, it's me, Queen. I'm gonna kill you. And she's like, oh, yeah, right. This can't be really Stu. And then she was like, oh yeah, you're dead. There's no way it's you. And he was like, I don't know. I feel kind of like alive. To me, like, I can survive that TV. Oh, by the way, blah 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 blah. Your friend, dead friend Tatum. Oh, Tatum, like your daughter whose school I'm at right now. And she's like, hmm. So she books it to the school, calls her husband, who's like the deputy sheriff, whatever. They get to the school. And after I think Tatum and her boyfriend leaves, another girl goes downstairs to do the costume, but there's something shifty going on. Of course, it's Ghostface. And then there's like this girl that's her friend that's like hanging around on the ceiling. Like, she's like a little Tinkerbell character where she has like these wings and she has these ropes that are kind of like dangling, and they have to like lift her up and blah blah. So she's practicing some more with another teenager, and it's just them two on the stage. And then he hears something shifty. Boom, he goes missing. Suddenly the lights go out, and then somebody's playing with the switch to move the girl around and around and around. And then she's just all like, hello, help, help, like, stop. And then here comes Ghostface. He comes down the stairs like he's the star of the show, and he ends her life on stage. And then they all get there to the school. They're all investigating all the kids. And, it's that whole thing. Oh, is it the boyfriend? Oh, is it these new friends? Oh, like, what's going on? Like, who is it? Is it the creepy kid who's super into true crime? Like, it could be anybody. And so they go back home. The police do a whole sweep of the house. But of course, they didn't do a good enough sweep because there's a whole an addict to check. So while they're packing up their things to run off, Sydney, her husband, and her daughter, also, they randomly brought in the fact that she had two other random kids that were with the grandparents. They just didn't put them in the movie at all. They just like did a short call with them on the iPad FaceTime. And I was like, what was the point of that? That it literally just could have been the three of them. She didn't have to have two other kids. It literally just could have been Tatum, but okay. So when you see like them getting ready, of course, you see Ghostface moving the little box on the little door on the attic wall and jumps down. They're running around. Husband gets pushed down the stairs. Of course, he's still alive. Then they go into the panic room. That's when the stabbing the wall happens that Ghostface does. You're like, oh yeah, blah blah blah. They're running. It's just like the stereotypical thing. And then when they run outside and then the scuffling, Ghostface is scuffling with the husband. Then of course Gail Weathers comes in and she just boom hits the Ghostface killer, runs him over, and then he's kaput like that. He's in them streets, gone. So they're like, yeah, this is over, right? And then Sydney, of course, knowing better than everyone else, is like, who says there's just one killer? It's always two killers, right? And so Gail, she comes out the truck. She's got a little bit like, stuff going on. She has two characters from the previous movie that now they work for her at the 7 News, whatever it was. I don't remember. Anyways, they work with her to revive her newscast thingy. And one of the girl, she wants to like be like the newer Gale Weathers. So it's basically the movie's kind of showing you that each character is getting older and they just, can't keep reviving this. They can't keep going through the trauma. It's like Sidney Prescott's been through a lot. Okay. So they like rest, let them rest, please, please. So they unmasked the killer. And it's some no-name Joe from a psychiatric hospital. Like, huh? Who's this? And so they decide like, oh, we should pop up and check in on that psychiatric ward and check out like, who is this man? It's like, why did he come up here to try to kill me and my family? Also, how did he show up at the same time at the school? Duh, there's 2 killers, of course, again. So they get there, and this is what bothers me. I'll get to it. They get there, and they find the room. Of course, it has all this art, stuff like that. They ask the nurse or the orderly, whoever it is, they ask him, does he even know anything about Sidney Prescott and then the murders of the time? And he's like, no, he didn't even ever talk about it. So we're like, okay. Right. So did he know this man? And so Sydney shows a picture of Stu and he's like, yeah. He came here. He was like roaming around LA. That's John Doe, because he came here with amnesia. And she was like, okay, so this man, was he real close with the guy who tried to kill my family? And he was like, yeah. They talk all the time. So we're like, oh, snap. Stu Macher is back. Like, for real. Like, someone physically saw him, right? Right. Yeah, about that. Anyways, skipping ahead, they decide, like, they're going to try and see if they can get Stu back on call so they can track where he's at. Because at first they were like, oh, it's just AI. It's just someone pretending. But now they're like, okay, so if someone physically saw him, he's alive. That's crazy, because they also couldn't find his autopsy report or like his death certificate, stuff like that. All that paperwork was also missing. So this guy has to be back, right? Yeah. Anyways, so they decide to Sidney Prescott finally decides to give Gale Weathers that interview that Gale has been asking for since 1996, 30 years ago. They kept saying 1996 during the whole thing too, by the way. They kept like letting you know, like, yeah, this movie was 30 years ago. Like, girl, we know the movie was 30 years ago. 30 years that we've been asking too for Stu Macher to come back. But okay, let's go on. Let's move on about that. They do the interview to try and see if they can get Stu Macher to come out. And at the same time, the daughter and her friends are like, it wasn't the daughter's idea. It was like partially her idea, but it was more so those two that were working for Gale that were like, let's get everybody in a room. But then she's like, oh, but there's a curfew. Like, we can't all meet up. And then she's like, wait, I have an idea. Like, let's go to this bar that we never went into or talked about. This random bar. Yeah, let's go in there. And they bring all of her friends, her boyfriend, the weird kid that loves podcasts. And they all are just like being like, oh, it's you. Oh, well, not like all of them, but the two newscasters are like, oh, my money's on the boyfriend. And then the other one is like, oh, my money is on the creepy boy. And then he's like, stop calling me creepy. I'm not creepy. I just have a fascination, blah, blah, blah. And then, so they're really trying hard to like make you think like, oh, it's definitely either the boyfriend or a creepy dude, which is obviously way too obvious to be the answer, because they already did that before. They've already done the obsessed fans try to recreate the series, or the boyfriend, the original Billy Loomis. They already did it, so they can't be doing it again in the seventh movie. So it'd be too obvious. So obviously they're not the killers. We quickly find out, yeah, no, they're not the killers, because when Gail is questioning Sydney, because the kids are watching it in the bar, Gail keeps pushing and pressing and asking about Tatum. And Sydney was like, not too much on my girl Tatum. And she was like, yeah, because that was one of your friends that died. Not too much on my girl Tatum. She was strong. She was no victim. She was a fighter. She was strong. So she gets up, because she's like, you're not going to talk about my kids and you're not going to talk about Tatum like that. So she gets up, she goes, and they kind of argue. But then she watches Gail struggling with her hand, her arm, because it's messed up from the New York accident. And Sydney just continuously just looks bad. Or like she looks like she feels super bad because she wasn't in New York during the time like everything happened. And she asked, like, how would you feel if someone asked you about like Dewey? And she was like, well, I would just say I'm fine, because that's what I tell myself 500 times a day. And, you know, her voice gets a little wiggly because she's a little sad about it. Of course, that's the love of her life. So then the phone starts to ring again. Oh my gosh, it's Stu Mocker. And he says, your daughter is here at the bar. And she's like, my daughter's not here at the bar. Oh, I forgot to, just kind of slipped. Her husband gets shanked by Ghostface. Oh my gosh, he's dead. Not really. But yeah, he's dead. And they're like, we gotta get to that bar, because now she realized her daughter really is there. She books it. But then the daughter at the same time is like, oh, I have to go be with my mom. And the boyfriend's like, yeah, I'll drive you. And when she gets in his little Jeep, she opens the laptop and it's like, what is this? And it's him doing like green screen AI to look like Stu Mocker. And then he was like, wait, no, I could explain. So she starts bashing him in the head with the tablet or with the laptop. And she runs out. Guess who's there? Queen stuff. It's my honey Ghostface. Stu Mocker, right? This is supposed to be Stu Mocker. I hope so. Then we realize there's a second killer. So, okay, so who's helping Stu? Like who? I thought Stu's new friend was Gonzo in the beginning. So like, why is there two Ghostface? One is in the bar and the other one's chasing Tatum in the street. So all of them, except for the newscaster kids, all are what? Every single one of them. Then she sees her boyfriend try to run up and save her. He also gets kaput. He also gets his life ended. Game over for him. Everybody's gone except for the two news kids. How did they even survive? Because like they got slashed, but why didn't Ghostface finish whatever? Anyways, so he gets offed. She goes into her mom's coffee shop, tries to hide. Ghostface, of course, knows the code somehow. Then she gets like trapped in there and she goes into the mom's office, finds the gun. She's trying to teach her how to use the gun because the mom Sydney calls while Tatum is in her office. She teaches her how to use the gun. Of course, make sure you get him in the head. Make sure you get him in the head. And she does shoot. She gets the Ghostface down, but she forgets to get him in the head. So, of course, she gets attacked. Then the other Ghostface, boom, pops up. They grab her. Next scene, we're at Sydney trying to figure out what the heck's going on. Gets a call, says, you better come here because I got your daughter. And so she walks into the house and she's going around the house and there's all these TVs, these iPads, these laptops, Stu Marker's faces everywhere. Then it switches to Billy Loomis's mom because that's technology for you. AI can recreate someone. And she's like, the mom's like, you killed my boy. And she's like, yeah, girl. And I'd do it again too. And then all of a sudden they got her like half brother on the screen talking for a moment. Then they've got all of a sudden Officer Dewey on there, like, I saved your life and you did this to me. And then it jumped to Stu. And then so she runs outside her because the killer makes a reference to how the Drew Barrymore's character was, out there and her boyfriend was in the yard. So the daughter's in the yard tied up to a chair. And this random dude who, for the life of me, after he takes off his mask, I'm like, who's that? Who's that? Like, who are you? I don't even remember you. I don't remember. And then there's somebody else coming. Okay, finally, this is the moment. But low key, I'm already like, I already know it's not Stu because first of all, you're short. Stu is tall. Who are you? And this ghost face drags her husband out like, oh, look at your husband, he's dead. Nah, he gasped, and you're like, oh, you're alive. Oh, okay. And then they're like, talking all this crap. And while they're talking the crap about how she killed her husband after reading City's book, and then she's like, think about your son. She's like, oh no, my son's gone, so it's time for me to start a new life. Hello? So you got your son killed? Huh? Why? Like, what was the reason? What was the reason? What was the reason, girl? Like, why? Why did you do that? That doesn't make any sense at all. Like, nothing was clicking for me. And I'm just like, sorry, I forgot to say when they unmasked, it was some random girl. I got my brain went faster than I was expecting it to because I was frustrated. But anyways, the mask comes off. It's the woman who was the mother of the podcast kid. She killed her own son. What? Huh? Why? What reason for that? So she was just all like, we need to keep the series going because you're trauma. We're going to make your daughter the new Sydney Prescott. They kill the guy. They kill her. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry I let this happen to you, while the police and everybody's there. And she's like, well, I'm Sydney Prescott's daughter. And it's like, okay, girl. Yeah. I don't know if they should make a franchise with you, but okay. Because, she helped her shoot the lady in the end. And then Sydney goes and she apologizes to Gail for being so rough on her. And she told Gail, I do trust you, because she's been there like throughout the entire movie series, and she apologizes that she wasn't in New York when everything went down. And then even Gail gives her microphone to the news kids because they survived somehow, and I guess they got to pass the torch. I guess passing the microphone was like passing the torch. So, and then it ends. The husband's fine, the daughter's fine, Sydney's fine, Gail's alive, the kids are like, what's going on? That's it? Stu never came back? Why? I was waiting for this. Like, huh? I don't understand. Like, why use AI? Like, I get that they're trying to like really be of the time of the generation. Like, oh, AI is taking over technology, but there was no good execution for it. The reasoning was stupid. It's basically the movie is like, we're making a revival, and here we're passing down the torches. Sydney to her daughter, Gail to the other kid. Like, what if there's going to be an 8? We're going to have problems. Leave the series alone because 1, 2, and 3, good, done. Leave it. I really didn't like it. I'm mad. I'm upset. None of the movies are good this year. I really hope that trend doesn't continue. I hope this was just a little like, just something of the beginning of this year. I hope the end of the year's movie is good because Return to Silent Hill, trash, hot garbage. It literally 2 days I was thinking about that movie. 2 days. These directors and producers genuinely do not respect these franchises, and it bothers me so bad because the fans want to watch these movies. Stop trying to bring in new fans, because let me tell you something, the new fans are going to go back and they're going to look at the old stuff and they're going to appreciate that for what it is. Do something else, pick something else to do, get creative, make new horror movies like these other new up and coming directors. Like these old directors, I don't actually even know who directed Scream 7, but pick a new job. Like, don't make this your daytime job. I just couldn't. But yeah, that was Scream 7. That was my major disappointment. I am so sorry this was like basically 25 minutes. I was just like, I'm just so frustrated because can a girl get a good movie this year, please? I'm begging. But yeah, anyways, There you go. Okay. So also I wanted to say that I'm changing my channel name from the Underworld broadcast to Vinegar and Velvet. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I felt like I needed a change, even though I haven't even been on YouTube for that long, but I felt like the Underworld broadcast wasn't suiting the way I wanted to represent myself. And I do love the dark and the spooky and the paranormal. Like, I'm not moving away from that on my channel at all. I just really want to talk freely. I just want to talk about the things that I like and do deep discussions. I really wanted to try the whole like unsolved mysteries and dark history. But the more I like did the research on each and every case, the more I realized like these videos have been done to death. And of course, so have movie reviews. They've been done to death as well. But every every time someone does a movie review, it's done with a different point of view. You know, you can't do a point of view from a true crime. That's real life. That's a case. But it's when it's media that's fictional that we consume, and even if it's media that's real, like a documentary, what is the story that the director is trying to tell us, the filmmaker, the actors? They're all artists in one way or another, in one shape or in form. So I want to do something like that. I now have a podcast as well. So whenever I make a podcast, I will also be putting that podcast on YouTube so that way I can keep my YouTube channel going because I don't want it to die. I want it to keep that. I want to see how I can grow. I want to take all the options that I can to continue my journey as a content creator. And I'm just, I guess, since I'm just talking in this moment about the switch, I also just wanted to discuss a little bit. It's hard being a content creator. It's hard, especially when I have a 9 to 5 job, like Monday through Friday, literally 9 to 5. It's been tough. It's been really hard. I'm new to editing. I'm new to making videos. Like all of this is new to me, but I have this fire and this passion in me to be a performer, an entertainer, a storyteller. Like, I guess too, I would be an artist in a way, a creator. I've always wanted that since I was a kid, but I just couldn't find the place or anything where I could really, you know, put my creativity out there. Where can I like pour it out? I've done art, like I've drawn, I've done paintings, I've sewed, I've done cosplay. Like I just wanted to show my creativity somewhere, and I was just told like, hey, the way you speak, the way you talk about movies, the way you tell your story is honestly really cool, and you should create a YouTube. So that's what I did, but it's still a lot of work. And I'm still figuring this out. I'm doing my best in this big space. YouTube has millions upon millions of channels, and I'm just trying to find my spot on YouTube. I'm trying to find my spot in this world. And I can only hope that my voice and the way I think, the way I view things can reach a lot of people. And I can create a community of people who want their voice to be heard. A lot of stuff on YouTube right now is a lot of AI audio and videos and stuff like that. I know people are sick of it. I know people want to hear real voice. And I feel like if I was scripted and I kept making these scripts and then I wasn't really putting in my real true voice, I want to go in unscripted. That's why I did the podcast. So I can just yap. I can just talk about stuff. I don't want to be constricted in the way you know, in the way I put my creativity out there. I don't want to be boxed in. I don't want to just do one thing a certain way. I don't want to be a character, even though, of course, I have a little mascot, but that's just, I don't want to put my face yet on camera. Maybe one day I will. I don't know. But I don't want to create this character. I don't want to do any exaggerations that's not me. Like, I have a big personality. I can be dramatic. I was in theater too. So I just want to be me. And I hope you guys like me, I guess. Thank you so much for listening this far into the video. I know it's super long and I don't know who actually really is listening to this, but if you are, thank you. And maybe one day you'll have a story to tell and maybe you'll get the courage to put yourself out there like this, or maybe you want someone like me to tell your story, because I would love to do a podcast, or I would love to do a section of my YouTube channel where I take people's stories and I read them and maybe discuss them, maybe give advice where I can, if I can. No promises. But I feel like I have a lot to say. I feel like everyone here in this community, whoever decides to listen, whoever in this world, I feel like you guys have a lot to say, and maybe you want that story to be told. So if you want to build a community with me, please do like and subscribe. I genuinely would appreciate that. And of course, every YouTuber has to say it, but yeah. And if you want to, I would really appreciate it if you go check out my podcast. I will try and link it somewhere in this video. It will be probably in the description box. I hope you have a beautiful day, beautiful evening, wherever you are in the world. I hope you have sweet dreams. I hope you follow your dreams and they don't just stay dreams. Okay, anyways, goodbye.